The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
To give you a understanding a little bit of the degree of Hakarat Hatov that Gedolim had. There was a Yid in Yerushalayim. There was a big Adam Gadol, a Yeshiva, an author, an Anav, a tzaddik. His name was Rabbi Yisroel Zalman Meltzer. Now, in Botei Natan is right in the middle of Mea Shar. You have to know where it is in Yerushalayim. It's not in central Yerushalayim. It's off to the side. And there was a Yid who lived in the Natan's houses, it was called. And his name was Reb Sholem Eisen. Sholem Eisen was a famous posek in Yerushalayim. I remember. And Reb Sholem was making a bar mitzvah for his son on Shabbos. Now Rabbi Zalman lived on the opposite side of Yerushalayim. He lived in what is called Botei Broide. Yiddish they call it Broide's Heiser. I remember those old walking in them. Every time I go back there, from Zeicher to have an occasion, the nostalgia flows over me. And that's close to Shari Chesed. Pashat Rabbi Zalman Meltzer, when he was already up there in his years, he was an old man. He slept all the way from Botei Broide to Nathan's Heiser, and then he had to climb 3 flights to reach from Sholem's house. When Sholem saw him, he was in shock. What are you doing here on Shabbos? He walked here. Why would you matriach to come here so much? So far? That's what he said. No. Mrs. Allen said, yesterday by night, you came to me and you brought me an invitation to the bar mitzvah. Yeah? Correct? Says Reb Sholem Eisen. Is was? I didn't mean Chalila that you should come to my house on Shabbos, slept to my house, and come to give me mazel tov. I meant, I brought you the thing in order to get a bracha, my bar mitzvah, bacher. I wanted to receive a bracha yesterday night for my son. I'll tell you, says Rabbi Zalman, smiling. He said, I never planned to come here. But yesterday, when you left my house, I started to think to myself, you know, I remember when your son was born. I remember his birth. And I'm thinking to myself, he's already bar mitzvah. 13 years already passed. And I said to myself, what did I accomplish all these last 13 years? And I couldn't think. So what did I do? That thought motivated me to learn very stark last night. I said, I better chaperayim. Better chaperayim. Because the time flies. And I decided that I'm chayav hakarat hatov to your child. Because he made me have a cheshbon and nefesh. And that's why I was matriach myself to come to hit his bar mitzvah. Could you imagine that? These people are tzaddikim, this is like out of our leagues here. It's like not normal. Ad kedei kach. Another amazing ma'isa. There's a yeshiva in Bnei Brak called Yeshivas Rabbeinu Chaim Oizer. The Rosh Yeshiva is Rabbi Nachem Tzvi Berlin, a Yid also that I know. We're Yerushalayim family. He has the yeshiva in Bnei Brak. He said over a Moiridik Gemaisa that he was involved with his Rebbe Rav Shach. That at the end of Rav Shach's life, when he was already close to 100 years old, Rebbetzin Cook from Tiveria died. There was a Rebbetzin Cook who lived in Tiveria. She was the wife, her husband was Rebbe Fol Cook. He was the Rav in Tiveria for tens of years. So Rav Shach told somebody to reach out to the mourners and to let them know that I'm coming to be Menachem Avol, you on your mother's patira. You know, they were shocked. Shach was 100 years old. To go from the Bnei Brak to Tveria, that's a ganz Nasiya. That's not like going from Cleveland Heights to Wycliffe. Like from Tom's River to Lakewood. It's a Nasiya Rucha. No. So they told him he shouldn't bother. They accept his wanting to come like to come. Don't be matriach, please. If Shach was stubborn, and not only that, when he came, the family had somebody posted in front to see when Rav Shach's coming, and they lived in a high floor. See, the high floor is usually a little cheaper. So a lot of the yeshivas get high floors because it sells like $3. So they said, wait here, they're all going to come down for Rav Shach to Menachem Avol. Rav Shach would not hear of it. It took Rav Shach 15 minutes to climb the steps. You understand what I'm talking about here? No. After he got to the top of the stairs, he sat down to rest. Took him a few minutes to come back to himself. And he says to the Avela, you surely want to know why was the matriach to come so far for your mother? I wasn't that close with your mother. And everybody shaykhs to your mother. Listen what he said. He said, decades ago, I learned by the Heilige Brisker Rav in Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh. And the Brisker Rav was faced with a tzara. Tzara, Nebuch. What was the tzara? One of his children became sick, and it caused a tremendous upheaval in the home. Brisker Rav didn't have a wife, so he was very metupel with this child, and he needed to be watched 24 hours a day, the child. You understand, because of that, it caused tremendous agmas nefesh to the whole family. And the whole order of the day, which the Brisker Rav's house ran on a Seder, was discombobulated. After a while, they saw he wasn't getting better, the child, and they needed to come up with some kind of eitzah. So there was a Yerushalayim Yid who was close to the Brisker Rav, a very choshev Yid, who was in the house. He saw what's going on. So he said, I want to make a suggestion to call Rebbetzin Cook from Tveria. In Tveria, it's a beautiful place. The air is very good. It's next to the ocean, Tveria, the Kinneret. So, maybe she's willing, she's the type of person, I think, that'd be willing to take the child into her home. And she would be metapel with that child. You know? No? Till he gets back to himself, and then he'll come back to Yerushalayim. He contacted Rebbetzin Cook and told him the story, what's going on in Brisker Rav's house, and she was masking belev shalim to do it. Can you imagine? It's unbelievable. No, when the time period concluded and the Bacher felt better, the Brisker Rav sent a shliach to the Rebbetzin, personal shliach, he said, the Rebbetzin cook. And he said, give her over this message. You should know that you have a chelik in my Torah. Brisker Rav told this lady, because before you took my son, I didn't have any time to learn. And I could not concentrate and focus on the learning like I needed to. But after that you took my son into your house, you should know I was able to go back to my learning as usual. Mitoich menuchas hanefesh. And my mind became settled, and therefore you have a chelik in my Torah. Yeah. So Shach said that. He paused for a moment, and everybody's wondering, so what does that have to do for Shach? Shach says, at that time, I learned by the Brisker Rav. And I was makabel from him a lot of Torah. And when the Brisker Rav learned better, I was makabel more Torah from him. And that Torah was only b'schus the Rebbetzin cook. No, so I'm chayav hakaras Hatov. Could you imagine that? That's unbelievable. It's like crazy hakaras Hatov.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org